there are people who are not aware of the real meaning of a narcissist. You know, people
Exactly.
just assume.
Absolutely. I was one of them. Hey.
You look fabulous.
Oh, thanks. You look great. Loving the hair too. Love,
Thank
love,
you.
love.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So, I guess for everyone who is joining us, even if you don't know who I am, my name is Makini Smith, and I help women to own their stories, conquer their fears, and reach their goals. And today we are joined by the lovely Pureness.
It's me. We are here. Thank you for having me. Like, I was like, yes, I want to talk. Yes, let's do it.
Yes, I mean we've exchanged, stories about our experiences. So
Yeah.
There's been a lot happening, especially during the season of COVID, where a lot of relationships, where people are in abusive relationships, the numbers are skyrocketing because people are in isolation with abusive partners. So
Stuck.
It's been very triggering, to say the least, but I wanted to not only talk about our experiences, but I want to be able to provide as much value as possible. And because the last live that I did on the topic, there's a lot of opinions. I came with facts, I came with receipts about the actual characteristics and things to look out for.
Okay, love that. Love that.
And I want people to know, if you guys have questions, feel free. Like, you can either put them in the chat or put them in the question box. We definitely want to hear from you. I'm going to try something. Let's see if this works.
Give me a minute.
Let's see. Can I make this work?
There we go.
All right. So we are going to basically break this down, and we're gonna, add in our own experiences. We're gonna talk. It's been a conversation, but there's some, like I said, some straight facts behind it, because there are people who are not aware of the real meaning of a narcissist. People just assume.
Absolutely. I was one of them. Yeah, I was one of them.
Right?
Yeah.
People just assume, oh, it's someone who's full of themselves. No, it's way more than that. Go do your research, people.
Gratifying thing. Like, it was never like a big thing. Oh, he's just a narc. He's looking in the mirror. Yeah, that's it. We never really took it seriously. Didn't know it was a condition. So.
Right. Exactly. And there's a lot of people who are in toxic relationships, or who have been in toxic relationships, that realize that they are not just the average toxic relationship. It is in a relationship with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder. And for those of you who have no idea what that is, I've done previous lives where I've explained the characteristics. I'm not going to spend time going through all of that again today, but basically, if they have 5 of like the 9 major traits, then they fall in that category.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So if you want to, there's previous IG Live TVs that I've done that you can get that information. But let's start with how they catch us, how they how people get reeled into these situations. So first phase, I don't know if you guys can how do I do this? I'm like, can I move myself? No, I can't.
Oh, you know what? No, I don't think you can. Yeah. Okay, it's all good. We can kind of get the idea. Idealization.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can speak to our experiences.
Absolutely.
I'll let you go first.
I mean, just to have an idea, guys, this is kind of where the love bombing happens. This is where it's like, it's so great, right? You're amazing. You're everything I ever wanted. It's that feeling of, oh, wow, this is, the soulmate. Oh, I should definitely be here forever and ever. Oh, man, like, really. And that's the hook. That's the hook and bait.
Yeah, but people assume that they've met the love of their life. This person comes in, they study you,
Yeah.
And it's harder when you're online, you're an online personality where they have the
Yes.
opportunity to do that.
Have all the,
Um,
yeah.
but they study you, and it's like they try to mimic your behavior. So they will be who they feel that you want them to be. You know, the love bombing could be flowers, it could be texts, it could be, you know, the dates, it could be all of those things. They
Yes.
come across as the Prince Charming. Those
Yeah.
relationships where you're like, oh my God, this is too good to be true, right?
Yeah. It's a too good to be true. You might be right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it starts with like the overwhelming, you know, adoration. Sometimes it's almost like, like, I
Yeah,
don't know if I have the words right now.
it's a lot. No, it is a lot. And it's just, when you get that, it's a drug. It's literally a drug that just feeds you and it feels so good. You're on that high. Sometimes it lasts for a short period of time. Some people have mentioned it being longer, but it generally is just this really high energy feeling that just takes over. And like you said, too good to be true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's been, how do I say this? There's been, okay, so I'll give a bit of a backstory.
Yeah.
A lot of people who end up in a relationship with a narcissist,
Yeah.
it's come from them having a narcissistic parent.
Absolutely.
And that parent has basically taught you that your needs don't matter.
Yes.
So you've spent your childhood trying to please that parent. So that parent pleaser becomes a people pleaser.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's almost like we feel like we need to make everybody happy. We go out of our way to make everybody happy. And
Absolutely.
narcissists are attracted to that because their needs need to be fed, right?
And also to add to that, I would say the narcissist is also raised by someone that teaches them that they need to, you know, overcompensate in what they need from or validation in themselves. And that's also what helps to create the narcissist. So it goes hand in hand in terms of how we're raised.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's like, so they say both narcissists and the empaths that end up being abused by them both come from having childhood traumas.
Trauma. Yeah.
And the empath will basically take that trauma and say, okay, I don't want anyone else to ever feel this again. I want to help heal everybody's pain. But then the narcissist basically takes that childhood trauma and is like, they become evil, basically. Yeah. Everybody needs to feed their needs. It's the complete opposite.
Absolutely. It's a complete opposite. Yeah, it is literally the opposite. Yeah, crazy. It's just crazy.
So, I don't know. Okay. Is there any particular experiences that you had where you can like, you know, give us a story, tell us what that looks like, what the love bombing was like for
Yeah.
you?
Can I say I'm necessarily out of it? No. But in the past, there was love bombing that was just so strong. And then I remember people saying, you're moving really quickly. Like, don't you think you should think this through? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm so in love. Like, this is real. This is what I always needed. It's better than the past. You know, he treats me better. You know, this has to be it. Like, this is real love. And just, you know, that person giving me that admiration and time and energy. And it was just like, wow, I'm so special. I'm so amazing beyond what I even thought I was at the time. And it's like, oh, I can't live without it. And again, just that drug feeling, it was such a high. I remember just everything just surrounding that person. I'm going to work, I'm thinking about that person, and you know, they're what would they be, what would happen if they were just standing right there? Oh my gosh, I'd be so happy, you know. And it's very hard to let go of that feeling, and it feels like this is your soulmate. This is what you were destined to have and be.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke to you know, things going really quickly, and that's a big
Yes.
thing with narcissists because they
Yeah.
love bomb you and they try to get into a relationship really quickly or move in really quickly
Yeah.
so that they can basically blind you, right? Because
Yeah.
they can't keep up with pretending for too long, right?
Yes.
So they put on this false persona, but they know that they can't be consistent with it. They can't keep up the lies, the manipulation, and all that. So they basically rush into relationships. And if there's anyone out here listening, like, trust takes time.
Yes.
You cannot trust what someone says because people lie all the time. You cannot trust what people do because people will definitely do what they think you want them to do. You need to trust consistency, like
Yes.
over time.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
I seen a quote that says,
That's a good quote.
"Nothing moves faster than a narcissist that needs a place to live."
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm taking that home. That's so perfect. I see somebody here asking, what's the difference between a bomber and a real one? Well, much like what we're saying, one of it they'll allow you time, for one, to fall in love. It won't feel like necessarily a drug. Yes, it will feel great, but it might not feel that crazy whirlwind feeling like I have to have it, I have to have it. Like you can kind of almost tell you're on a high, like it's not real. And again, the whole it's too good to be true can be true in some love cases, but if it's really strong, you may want to be weary and just take your time. So
Yeah, I think a big part of that is once you set boundaries for yourself, someone
boundaries.
who respects you will
Yeah.
understand your boundaries. So if
Yeah.
you feel like someone is love bombing you, but you have a conversation and you basically make them aware of your boundaries or something that's making you uncomfortable, like if they're doing the absolute most. So let's say it started out with, you know, a text here and there, a call here and there, to them completely monopolizing your time.
Exactly.
If you vocalize that and you try to have an adult conversation with that person about that, if they respect those boundaries, okay. If they take a step
Yes.
back and you know what I mean? But if that person
Yes.
gets irate or makes it all about them, because another thing with narcissists is everything is a personal attack, right?
Yeah, it is. Oh, so you
So
don't trust me then? It's me. Oh, okay. You bet you didn't do this with your last man. You know,
yeah,
that kind of, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Someone says
absolutely.
people can lie to you, but they can't lie with what they do. Listen, people will lie about people will lie with their words. People
Yes.
will and like I said, they will lie with their actions. You need to look at consistency over time because they cannot keep it up over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And with, you know, being an empath, we lie to ourselves. Oh, wow, he really does mean that, I think. Yeah, he does. And we'll self-talk ourselves into it too. So we have to be careful.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, where I seen a
Mhm.
comment here.
So too,
Um,
Regina, yeah,
love,
so true.
where is it? Yeah, being involved with either a male or female narc is legit like being on a drug. The love
Yeah,
bombing, etc., is like having a bona fide drug addiction. Absolutely,
yeah, consistency.
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Wow.
yeah.
So, okay, so I'm just trying to think. I'm like, what part of that did I want to go through some more? But
Okay, okay.
we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds
There's another thing that they do, which is called future faking, where
good. Oh,
basically they will basically lie about they'll okay they'll make future plans. They'll make you believe that they're going to marry you, or they'll make you
yeah.
believe that they're going to take you on trips or travel. They will tell you
Somewhat of
all
a
kinds of
fantasy.
stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. They will build
Mhm.
a fantasy about the future
Yeah,
to take away from responsibility in the present.
exactly. Exactly.
I dated a narc that every single time we were in public and people would ask, like, you know, when are you guys going to get married? And he would tell pure stories about what he had planned to do for elaborate engagements and all kind of BS. Like,
Really?
girl.
Wow, that's
And they never
interesting.
have any actual intention of going through with that.
Yeah, yeah. I got a printout of an engagement ring.
A printout.
Hmm.
Please explain. Please
A piece
explain.
of, a piece of paper.
If I had tea, I would sip some. I am going to drink my. I'm gonna drink my water.
When I say the fantasy is real, you know. But yeah, things that just don't ever pan out. We're going to do this. This is going to happen. And you know, even when you start thinking, well, first of all, like all this elaborate stuff, do you have the means to make that happen? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna happen. That's the goal, you know.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, no, you know, this is a
Yeah.
few years now. It's not happening, you know. And if you dare tell them that it's not happening, oh, you're a bad person, so you're doubting me. Maybe it's you who's keeping me down. So
right.
yeah.
There's someone who said that's why you watch what they do at all times,
Yeah.
then you'll know who they are. Listen, narcissists are very charismatic. They are very charming. They are big on making things look a certain way.
When
So
they need to.
everybody loves them. Everybody thinks they're the greatest. It's usually the people that live with them or see them the closest that get the mask off.
The butt of it. And that's why we look like the crazy ones. That's why we'll save ourselves from saying anything publicly. That's why we can stay hidden or force ourselves to stay hidden, because we don't want to look crazy. We know this person will be like, that never happened. You guys know I don't do that. And
Right.
you're like, well, how do I defend myself now? Now I look crazy.
I want people to pay attention, especially when you start dating somebody new, or if you know someone that is dating somebody new. When all of their exes are crazy,
yes,
it's a red flag.
It's a huge red flag.
Every person that you dated is crazy. So either you attract crazies or you make them crazy. Which one is it?
Or you make them crazy. Yeah, you're right. Or you make them crazy, because it's exactly that. I remember thinking to myself, oh, wow, I'm going to do better than that last girl because she's crazy. I'm going to be so much nicer, so much better, so much more empathetic. I'm going to be, I'm going to go to the moon and back for this person. Whatever the complaint was, I'm going to do better. And it's like, hold on, no, even that person couldn't do better because there was nothing to satisfy this narc right here. So yeah absolutely.
Yeah. Someone says we stay silent because of the amount of public love that they get.
Yes.
Well, that's just it. Because a narcissist can be completely charming and charismatic and everybody loves them, the minute you say anything that is not that version of them that they know, then they accuse you of being crazy or there's something wrong with you. And what irritates me is there may be people who see them outside in the world who either engage with them at work or who see them on social media. They get that version of them, this perception of them, right?
Exactly.
But you who's on this side, who lives with them, sees a complete different color of that person. And they will try to tell you who they are.
Absolutely. Somebody said they don't have genuine friends. That's so true, because you start thinking
they don't.
This person like falls off, or they go in and out, or they don't really know them. I'm like, do they know this about you? No, I don't think they ever found. I'm like, are they really your friend? Oh yeah, we're friends. I don't know. Your level of friendship's a little different to me. How come you're so secretive? That's another thing. They're very secretive or calculated in what information they share with people so that they don't look bad. They have to keep up that storyline. So yeah, absolutely. They don't really have real relationships. Yeah.
The part about them being secretive, because they lie so much, so the lies and the deceit and the manipulation, sometimes they don't know which lie they've told, right? So it's hard for them.
True.
So they want things either kept in private. I've had a narc ex that this was, I'm going to say, pre me being on social media this much. Like, I wasn't, in their eyes, they when I first went on Facebook, it was like, delete your Facebook. I don't want any of our business out there. You know what I mean? I've had one say, well, I don't post my relationship online. There's a difference between secretive and being private. People can know you're in a relationship, but your business is private, right? But when your entire relationship is a secret, no.
Yes. That's a no. That's the problem. You have a problem pulling out right now. Yeah. No, absolutely. And somebody said, how do you tell, I think they said something about finding the holes. There's no perfect science, and that's why so many people do fall for it. If you are an empath, you may fall for it. There are different signs. You can do your research, and now just having the knowledge, you can go in understanding what red flags to look for ahead of time. So that's the best I could say. There's no perfect science behind it, though.
And that's the thing. That's why we're having these conversations, to bring awareness so people can go and do their own research, because people who are in a relationship with a narcissist may not even know that. They may not see the red flags because they don't even know what they're looking at.
No.
And the sad part is that a lot of people who are in these relationships with a narc, there are certain things that they've deemed as normal because culturally that's how they grew up, or that's what they've seen growing up.
Dealing with that narc parent too.
There you go. right? So and I'm going to say, especially in the Caribbean background, where you see and hear, you know, things like physical abuse and cheating and all those things as a norm. So then, you know, there's a lot of people in secret in these relationships, not saying anything, not realizing that you are in a highly abusive relationship, whether it be physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive, financially abusive.
Yeah. All of the above, all of the above. And can you believe, like, you can actually have all of those things intermingled in one relationship, all of them. It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm looking through. Did I miss any questions before I go on?
I feel like, yeah, there's been something happening.
Someone says, yeah, the female narc that I know, she was real secretive with the two guys prior to my ex-boyfriend she's with now. Whew. She flaunts their so-called relationship online out of spite. So here's the thing with that. And if you are no longer with how do I say this? If you've gone through a breakup, and you know that that person was a complete narcissist, has narcissistic personality disorder, that new relationship that they are flaunting online, you know better. Narcs don't cheat.
There is a cycle. It's triggering, but you can laugh at it.
Right. So if you know better, if you know that right now they are love bombing that person and that mask is going to come off eventually, let them flaunt.
Yes.
I tell you, like, my last ex whose girlfriend was following me and tried to come on my page and comment and like block.
Yikes.
Flaunt your relationship. That's fine. There is no jealousy here because I know what's coming for you. It's all good. Like,
exactly. And you have to have mental clarity. Obviously, you would have had to have done the work within yourself before you come to that point. So easier said than done for some people. We're not telling you just who cares and just move along and you're crazy if you can't get over it. But at the same time, definitely do your work. Do your work. Don't worry about what they're doing, because that's their prerogative, is for you to worry about what they're doing. So don't give in. Don't let that happen.
There's a lot of work that we have to do within self after coming out of a relationship with another, because it messes with your head. There are a lot of people that leave relationships with a narc and end up in mental institutions. Like, the psychological damage is severe. Like the gaslighting, I'm gonna get to that. Let me see if I can slide.
Or they never even get to leave. They actually are taken away in a straitjacket. Honestly, like, it's that serious, guys. So really, like, if you can do the work. Now we have online resources and all these things, and that's why we're having these discussions. Really look at yourself and think about it. We're not saying everybody's in one, but, you know, be careful. If you see the signs, start really looking into it.
Right. Keeping It Light says, do you think that can be passed down from your parents? Yes. So as we were saying before you came on, a lot of narcs are basically produced from childhood trauma. And if you have a narcissistic parent who has made everything about their needs, then they're not providing for the actual need of the child. So they produce either an empath or a narcissist in their children. And it's because they were raised to feel like their needs don't matter.
Yeah. She said her hair fell out from that's an exact reaction. A chemical reaction in the body. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, people don't realize how deep it is and the effect that it's having on people. Like,
so when they throw that term around, it's like, I mean, again, just lack of knowledge and education behind it. But ooh, it's triggering, because it's like, do you realize this is real? Like, people are, you know, losing their lives over this. Like, it's no joke. So yeah, sorry to cut you there.
No, go ahead. Yeah. I'm trying to scroll through some of the comments here. If I miss any, someone said narcissists are like bullies, take their power away by taking away attention. Absolutely. But if you're living with one, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Another phase. So we talked about the idealization phase, you know, where they go through the love bombing and the mirroring and all those things. And now we're coming into the devaluing phase, where basically they gaslight you. And they try to make you feel like you're crazy. So
Clearly, yeah.
you can share some, I guess, an experience that you've
It's
had where
crazy.
you were gaslit.
I know one thing that I saw when I started researching, this is after the fact, I started researching and realized how a lot of people started saying they felt like they were in the twilight zone. And I remember for a good decade using that exact terminology. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. It like 1 second it's like, yeah, I'm right, but now I'm kind of wrong. But somehow within it, I'm right and I'm wrong. And I'm allowed to say this, but I really shouldn't because that may bother them. But I'm being told I'm allowed to say it. It's
Mm-hmm.
very strange. It's so strange being in that place. And you really feel crazy. You feel crazy. I remember just kind of sitting there in the dark, like, what just happened? What just happened? Another thing that happens with gaslighting, I don't know if a lot of people, but I know one thing they say, if you start picking up your phone to record or whatever device to record conversations and situations, you were with an arc.
Right?
Because,
Because they may, prime example.
yeah,
After going through a breakup with someone, I didn't realize they were a narc until after the breakup, and most
okay,
people don't, right?
yeah,
And they were gaslighting the heck out of me in a text message conversation.
okay,
And
okay,
they had already gone through the discarding phase because I couldn't give them any more of what they needed. I was like, I'm done.
gotcha.
And they had run up my credit cards, spent money on my bank, he's using my car, you name it, blah blah blah. They sent me a text that basically, it was, you could tell that that was the story that they were using to tell other people, to flip the script, which was basically like, oh, when they leave the house, all I do is call down their phone, and because they have my car, I think they own them, da, da, da. And I'm thinking to myself, anybody who knows me, first of all, I don't like to use the phone. Second of all, if I call you once, I'm not calling you again.
Right. So there was no, blowing up of phones. No.
No, I am not that. Like, there were so
Yeah.
many lies within there. I thought, wow, okay, so is that the narrative that you're telling people? I was like, if you really believe that, so I had to start screenshotting parts of the conversation because I'm just like,
Screenshotting is another one. Yep. Yep.
like what?
I had folders between voice notes and screenshots. It's crazy. It's exactly that.
Someone said, what does gaslighting mean? I do have a definition here
I
for
would
you.
say that, yeah.
Where did I put it? Uh, You know
Exactly.
what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually make posts with
Okay.
these because I was thinking that you guys could be able to see it, but I see that
But
it's
it's been
locked off.
cut
Like,
off. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna make it like actual posts, and I'll put them in my stories as well to break it down.
Yeah.
But the term gaslighting came from a film, and it was a husband who tried to make his wife think she was going crazy. So he would do things like turn on the gas stove and stuff like that. So it's really to mess with your head. It messes up your psyche. It makes you, think you're going crazy. You have to question your reality.
Yes.
And the sad part about it is, after you've left a relationship with a narc, you're still left questioning your
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
You're like, did that
Absolutely.
just happen? Did this really happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you really sit there and like, no, I know I'm right. And then that's where, as I said, that's kind of where the recordings come in. But the funny thing is, and I talked to somebody else about this, you do the recordings and the screenshots, but they're too much to handle to really go back and listen to them. So they really just sit there. You're not telling anyone about this situation. So it's really just this stuff that you have there as proof that really is never used, but
Yeah.
still you need it somehow to gratify the fact that you're not going crazy somehow. So it's a crazy, again, it's just so much deeper than even saying it in words. To experience it is almost very scary, and again, it's traumatic. It's very traumatic.
It's okay. So I do a lot of studying the mind. That's what I do. But like, when you're having these negative thoughts, these negative feelings, they trigger chemical reactions within your body. So one of the women who said that her hair was falling out from the gaslighting, like, because of the trauma, what it's caused in her body, the stress that it's caused in her body. People don't understand. If you look at people like myself and other women who have chronic illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
it is a sign from being in narcissistic relationships.
Relationship, absolutely.
And for most people who follow me, they understand and know that all of 2019, I was ill, in and out of hospital, in and out of doctor's offices. Like, it's not a joke.
Yeah, and it's not something that they're just like, okay, yeah, you know, your blood work came back like this. It's not that simple because it's so skewed on the chemical reaction that's going through that a lot of times you don't even know what's wrong with you and they don't know what's wrong with you. So yeah, I mean, you could speak on what your experience was there. Were they able to identify what was going on?
So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia back in
Mm.
2006,
Okay.
after complaining for years about like symptoms, the headache, the dizzy spells, being lethargic, all those things. And someone with fibromyalgia, like one of the common symptoms is like depression and anxiety because it's
Yes.
chronic pain. Like your soft muscle tissue is always in pain.
Yeah.
And in 2019, I actually had to have my uterus removed. I had 8 abnormal cells in my cervix and in my uterus that were causing a lot of problems. So my surgery that was supposed to have 6 weeks recovery time, even after 6 months, things were getting worse. And then they thought I had colon cancer, and then I had to have, like, it was just one thing after the other.
Yeah.
But constantly going to the doctors, like being sick all the time, constant ear infection, eye infection, like throat infection, sinus infection, like always being sick.
That sounds very familiar. Yes, yes.
Right? Because your immune system is fighting against something. You're in danger. Your body is in fight or flight mode
It's
while you're
fight or
in a
flight mode.
relationship with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm seeing all these, you know, tragic stories and of friends and of themselves, and it's exactly what it is. And we take it very lightly in our community, as she was saying earlier too. We kind of just brush it off. Yeah. So she's in this, I don't know, some abusive thing. He tells her some bad words and thing, but you know, whatever. They'll be fine. You know, she'll be there laughing with him. She's going to stay with him and all that. And we really just we
Yeah.
gratify this type of lifestyle, and it's not okay. It's really not okay. And you know, and there's even the joke, yeah, maybe when he kills her off, she'll listen and she'll learn. Like, gosh, we're harsh. We are harsh.
Very, very passive, I'm going to say, especially in the Caribbean community with abusive relationships. People, and I've seen a lot of comments online with people who have come out about abusive relationships, and people will say, well, why didn't you leave before?
Why didn't you leave? Yeah.
When you were in a relationship with a narcissist, and here we're going to go into the isolation now. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it is not as easy to get up and leave as you would a normal relationship. You are actually putting your life in danger. Because with a narcissist, it is about control and it is about winning. And they own you. And they have gone through, over time, psychologically programming you to believe that you have nobody else, that nobody else wants you, so you're dependent on them. They isolate you over time. They will isolate you from your family and friends slowly. They will, in the beginning, they love your friends, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, that girl's a hoe, I don't want you hanging around her. Or that family member, oh, they're always in our business, I don't want to, like, we shouldn't be going over that. So slowly, over time, they isolate you. And then you believe that they're all you have. So you actually have to make a safe exit plan in order to leave a narcissist, unless they're done with you and they've moved on to a new target.
And another thing, you have to know that you're in one. I didn't know. I had no idea. So it was just like, I've got to, and I guess pulling the whole black card, I've got to save my black king, he's being, and he would pull the card too, I'm black and I don't have it out here and the world is against me. And I'm like, that's true. The world is against you and I'm the only one that's going to save you. So I got to stay here. I got to be true to you. The things that you're doing to me are just a reflection of what the world is doing to you. So if I save you enough, if I love you hard enough, I'll save you from your traumas and we'll make it through. And there's just so much mind games and things that happen that you'd be surprised how hard it is to let go, because there's so many different reasons. Everybody has a story.
Everybody has, a story, and it's almost like all of us who have experienced a narc, our stories are very similar, right? Because they're character traits the same, where it's like we're all nodding. We get you. We feel you. You're not alone. We understand. There's a private question here.
Okay.
My ex is triangulating my daughter against his other kids and getting her against me. So I'm going to get to triangulation when we get to that part. So stay tuned. We'll get to that. Yeah. Let's see. Okay.
Where are we? Isolation, I think, right?
We were in isolation. Okay, we talked about that.
Hard with
We talked
self-realization
about
is the first key. It's very hard to tell them. I don't know. I don't know exactly. What do you think with that question there, Makini? Like,
how do you help someone who is in a narcissistic relationship and can see it, but they don't? Here's the thing. When someone is in a narcissistic relationship, and I can speak from experience, because that abusive person has basically, with the love bombing and psychologically getting into the head of that person, someone
yes,
from outside, anything that you say negatively about their partner, you will push them away. And
absolutely. That's
they
where the
will
hard
draw
part comes from.
closer to the narc,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um,
True super.
you can't, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, I've had people who said to me, as soon as my relationship was over, I saw this, I saw that, I didn't know how to come to you, you wouldn't have listened anyway, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was angry with them for a second, but realized they
It
were
was
probably,
true.
I probably would have been like, you know what the hell you're talking about, you don't know him, mind your business, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, this person says there's a lot of women narcs, but it's not talked about as much as men. So I talked about this in my last live.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of IG Live interviews with men who have experienced narcissists.
Right.
The reason why you hear a lot more women talking about it is because we are more vocal about the abuse. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
men,
And
especially,
emotion. Yeah, absolutely.
a lot of men, pride and society will
Yes.
also make them feel bad for talking about being in an abusive relationship with a narc female, right?
Absolutely. I was going to say that
So
too. A little bit of the pride and strength. You know, man's supposed to be able to handle his own, so they don't speak on it as much.
yeah, yeah. I did a live with a gentleman by the name of now I feel really bad for forgetting his name.
Oh,
Valin, sorry, my brain just went. I had a like total blank
oh, it's
moment.
okay. My bad.
um, his Instagram is After Dark. Goodness. Okay, so
Okay.
it's on my IGTV, but he basically spoke about leaving the relationship with a narcissistic woman and how even after the fact, her gaslighting of another male caused him to commit suicide. Like him himself having to be in a hospital and dealing with mental health issues because of the narc abuse. So there are men that are experiencing it, but they're not as much, or they're not being as vocal about it.
Yeah, and they don't feel there's a safe place to be vocal without being made fun of or just told just to move on or you know, be strong. You know, so
Right.
yeah, it's true, and definitely so true.
Um, okay, so the triangulation. So we had a question about triangulation. So
Mm-hmm.
for people who don't know what that is, but it's like they will. You don't realize you're the middle person, but there's lies. They will put people against you with lies, basically. So the question before about their daughter being put against his other kids. So that person is experiencing having lies being told over here to make this person look bad. So they do this whole
Mm-hmm.
triangulation thing so that you guys don't communicate, so that you hate each other. So they put people against each other, and you don't realize that you're in this triangulation until it's too late.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's I would say that would have happened with my parents and myself. It was, you know, your father's doing this. You know, he's terrible, and I saw my mother doing that with everyone around. He's terrible. Oh my gosh, you know. And it would be
Mm-hmm.
for the smallest, dumbest things, but I would fall for it. Wow, yeah, he's terrible. Can't believe he, you know, took a towel and used it today. Oh, that man, you know. And yeah, it was exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have another question. I have a family friend who's in a narcissistic relationship. She was a people person, and since she's been in this relationship, she's cut off practically everyone. Um, how do I? Can you see me? I'm
Yeah,
pressing buttons.
it
I'm
came up
like,
and then it went away, but I could see
okay.
you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you notice, your friend withdrawing,
Yes.
it could definitely be a sign that they're in an unhealthy relationship. And it's letting them know that you support them, letting them know that you are there for them, letting them know that they have a safe place outside of their home.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot. Just the way they go about it, it's, we hear songs about it. I swear, Destiny's Child had a song about it. It's like keeping away from your friends, right? The one with them all at the cafe, and it's like, it's exactly that. It's keeping everyone distant, and it's scary because you're really all alone, but you almost want to be, to make it make sense, but then you also don't want people to know what you're going through. So it's, and they play that up. They play that up for you. So yeah, it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize that whole isolation piece is starting. It's like, you have that
Hmm.
that partner, that new partner. You're spending all your time with them. They're love bombing you. You feel great. But then all of a sudden you realize they want to either be on the phone with you all the time, or they want to be with you 24/7. Like, I had that in a
Uh-huh.
relationship not too long ago, where it's like they want to be with you 24/7, and you don't realize, like, they will use manipulation to make it seem like they're doing something nice for you, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because they're trying to control the environment, because everything about them is control and winning, right? So it's
Uh,
like, yeah, you're going out with your friends, I'll drive you, I'll
yeah.
drop you
Yes.
to the restaurant. Okay. Sure, you can drive me, no
Oh,
problem.
and you know what?
You
People
know what I mean?
perceive
Like,
that he's so good. Oh my gosh, he's so good to you. Look how he's taking you to the mall. Look how he's dropping you off everywhere. Girl, you got it made. And you're like, if
listen.
only you
Listen.
knew. It's the worst. And you
Listen.
can't say anything. You're just like, oh. Yeah,
Right?
totally. Yeah.
Oh, I seen a comment here that I missed. Where did it go? He told me my friends are jealous of me because I had a man like him. Yep, they will definitely tell you that.
Yeah.
Julie said
Yeah.
5-hour combos to 10-hour combos, literally. Yeah, because they want to isolate
Yeah.
your time
Mm-hmm.
completely. And that's
You're,
how the
what
isolation
are you doing
happens.
right now? I see a noise in the background. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, yeah.
I started talking to this guy a couple years ago, long distance relationship,
Yeah,
and the good morning texts are nice, but
yeah.
he flipped to good morning FaceTimes, and then it went to wanting to be on FaceTime 24/7. I'm like, I'm going to the mall with the kids. I'm in the
Right.
car with my girlfriend. Why do we need to still be on FaceTime?
Yeah,
My
yeah.
girlfriend was, Mac,
Hmm.
what's going on?
Yeah,
Like, she had to call me out on that.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
realized.
And you caught it quickly,
Um,
which is good.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's another question.
Okay.
This is, I try to be a friend with her partner
Yes,
because I
Judy.
don't want to lose her to this relationship. I'm not sure how to be there for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one. It really is. It really,
Um,
like you said, just showing them that, you are there, but oh, unless they're
I
ready.
had a I had a friend that
Yeah.
my narcissist ex tried to be friends with, and she saw his need for power and control. But it got to the point where she was like, okay, every time you guys come over or we hang out, why does he always have to be there? And then it
Wow.
got to the point where she didn't want to be around him. Like, so it's hard.
Wow.
It's hard. Honestly, like, we're not experts. We have just experienced this. We've studied it. We are aware of it, but
We're
we don't
not
have all
gonna,
the answers.
but yeah, years of experience. That's all we can really drive from, and then some research too, right? So it, it's unfortunate when you hear the stories, when you read the stories. I think I learned more from, even more so than watching videos and reading articles, were more so the comments and the replies to those videos and articles. It was just like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I went through. It was more of an experience to read those comments. It's incredible the things people go through, and how deep this really goes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing they do called stonewalling. Um, after they've, you're in the devaluing phase where they make you feel like crap, the stonewalling or the silent treatment. So it's basically telling you that you're not worth responding to. Like you may ask them a question, and especially about the relationship or your feelings, and they're basically like, they don't feel it's worth responding to.
Yeah.
Like
It's
a
not worth
level
your
of
time.
disrespect, acting like somebody does not exist.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And those feelings don't exist, and the situation doesn't exist right now.
Right?
Yeah.
I had, I had an ex where that was his favorite thing to do, the silent treatment. And there was one time in the home where he did that for like 3 days, and the kids were like, is he okay? It was like the whole house got the silent treatment.
I was going to say, so it wasn't just to you.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. The silent treatment I got was during like whatever confrontation, and then it would just kind of stop. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. Have we concluded here? Has there been a lesson learned? What is happening? And it would just go quiet, and then he would rise again, and it would just be like, oh, we're not done. Okay. So
Yeah,
it would be
the
like maybe an
silent
hour or
treatment to
two of
get
silence.
you
Yeah.
to
Sorry.
the silent treatment is to get you to fall back into submission.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
they give you the silent treatment, and then, as the empath, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person. I want to fix this. I don't want to fight. But the actual issue doesn't get resolved.
Never, never is it ever touched on, really. They'll go back in a circle. But remember, the thing you were supposed to do, that wasn't what we were talking about. That has nothing to do with what we were getting at. Yeah.
Girl, there's a term called, is it word salad?
Oh yeah.
My ex was like a master at that. He would take the words and twist things up till I legit thought I was crazy. I was like, what?
Yes,
What?
that was me.
I don't understand. Like, I think I'm a pretty intelligent Black woman, okay?
Yeah.
For me to
And
sit
I
there,
remember telling myself,
huh?
I'm like, I got educated, right? I'd have to look. I went to school, right? Like, what?
It's crazy. Oh man. Hold on. There's another question.
Okay. All right.
In your opinion, what would you have someone do to help, especially if it's one of your good friends or close family member? Like I said, that's very challenging, especially from experience. Again, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody has their different situations, different personalities, how they'll take things. So it's like how well you know that person to really address it is really the best way you can go about addressing it. Because for us to say, you know what, tell her this or say this or send this message or go to the person that's creating the issue. There's so many different ways that this could be done, and all of them could be either really successful or really really painful in the end. So it's so hard to really assess something like that.
Yeah. What is it? The silent treatment. My ex would go weeks with the silent treatment because I challenged him.
Don't ever say they're wrong. The problem's you.
I have to laugh. Sorry. Because with the narc, they are always right. Even if they are wrong and strong, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about winning. They cannot lose. It is about power for them. There's no losing in their world.
Oh, we go silent. Wow. Yes. Oh, the discard. Here we go.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this is the triggering part for me. This is what I'm still in therapy for. Okay.
Okay. Fair. We'll take it slow or fast, whichever way helps best.
with the discard, they're done with you. You no longer are able to feed their need, so they will either ghost you, Emotionally, that's when the affection will just stop promptly. That's where they don't even care to keep up with getting caught with their lies. They see no value. They're
Yeah.
done.
There's no value in you. You're not worth it to them. Their time, their energy, their love, their physical, none of it's, you're not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If if you look at anyone who you've experienced narc abuse with, they don't have a desire to have an adult conversation and to grow within that relationship. You know, a healthy relationship, there can be healthy conflict where you can disagree, you can agree to disagree,
Agree to disagree. Yeah. Yeah.
right? You can respect each other's difference of opinion and still work through and move forward. With them, they're done. There's no growing with them.
You're a
And
terrible human if you disagree with them. So you're just wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. And you're dead to them.
right. And rather than
Yeah.
try to work through the challenges in a relationship, they just move on to the next relationship quickly because they've already found their new source of supply.
Of course.
Before they have left their present relationship, they have
they will
already
make sure within that relationship that they find something else to find that supply, because they don't ever want there to be a gap. They need to have that supply immediately or there'll be a problem. So they have to cheat their way out of the relationship in order to make their supply work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The level of lying, cheating, manipulating, breadcrumbing, and it's called breadcrumbing because basically while they're in this relationship, they have been dropping breadcrumbs. Like, for example, my ex was in every woman's damn DM dropping breadcrumbs so that as soon as we were done, there's new sources of supply to go to.
Absolutely.
Right?
Even if it's just by little bits until they find that full supply, whatever it may be. It may be somebody that they were ready to, love bomb on immediately, or it could be just little bits that they were able to pick up here and there. That's good enough to at least until they find something full. So yeah, absolutely. You're right. The breadcrumbing, definitely.
Whew. Okay. So
same.
When I tell you, like, and you know what, let me be completely honest. This time of year, like right now, I'm gonna say even this week, it's been about a year exactly, I think, since I realized, and then had to like seek help, that I had so many narcissistic relationships.
I understand. Okay.
So it's like it's been a year of healing. So even this conversation, even though I'm able to have this conversation and not be, in my feelings, it's like still triggering.
It's still heavy. It's still very heavy. And funny enough, I think we're on the same timeline. I swear it was a year for me too. So that's crazy when you said that it was a year. Like I didn't necessarily go to therapy, but I did seek self-help just through just meditation and being silent with myself. I would say the biggest time that I've had healing was during COVID. During that time when the first part of lockdown happened, I was like, what's going on? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a nap. And then the nap kind of turned to like just sitting in my bed in the dark, just really like, where am I? What's happening? And just slowing everything down in my mind. And that's actually what revealed a lot for myself, and how to move forward. And I suddenly started realizing I started getting happier and more uplifted, and my health started getting better. And it all unfolded like that for me personally. But I know everyone has their journey.
Yeah. All right, so the hoovering.
Yeah.
So in this phase, even whether they've decided to discard you, they will still find ways to semi-stalk you, whether it be directly or through other people. They are watching social media. They know what you're up to, and they will use opportunities to try and drop in. They'll send a message or do certain things like. I don't know, it could be Christmas. You'll get a random Merry Christmas. It could be a year later. I
was thinking about you. Or that movie we used to watch. I just watched it again, honey.
Yeah. Someone says, I didn't realize this was so rampant. Thank you for sharing and having this conversation.
Welcome.
listen, I have been saying this since the beginning of, I'm going to say, the health pandemic. I was like, we are in a narcissist pandemic.
Oh my
It's
God.
almost like being with the health pandemic, everyone being in isolation. It's almost like there is a huge time of reflection and being still where you have time to realize like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
People
It's
are go ahead.
no, no, I was like, it's crazy. Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I was just, yeah, I can't believe it. Like how much has been noticed and realized and coming to like, whoa, it was like a whirlwind. Like, and everyone was talking. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So for some people, the hoovering can be somewhat stalkerish. So if you feel like you're, not safe, there, I would recommend not only letting people close to you know that you feel that way. I've had women that have reached out to me recently and said they had to move towns, they had to move, I moved, like, you change your phone number,
Yes.
going no contact. Like,
Mhm.
after they've done their ghosting and discarded you, in order for you to heal, you need to go no contact. You need to remove their phone number out of your phone, block them, block people close to them because they're over there telling lies about you, trying to make you look crazy anyway. They're going to come to you with their name or what have you to protect yourself. You need
Yeah.
to take your own measures to keep
Yeah.
them away from you.
My situation is, or many people will say, like, you could possibly still have a family tie with this person. You could have children with this person. How do you, get rid of that tie? I haven't necessarily taken that measure. However, because I mentally did the work in myself, the triggers don't happen anymore. So I'm okay. Now, if there is danger, especially if you do have children or ties, then yes, you need to let people know around you. I that was my first measure. I let everyone know around me. Finally, started opening my mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
and then making sure that all measures are around to make sure everybody's safe. And if not, then what Makini said, totally, like, discard everything that has any connection between the two of you. And if you have to seek legal action, then it may have to come to that. If so be it. Hopefully that law enforcement actually is on your side, and nothing happens with you. Forbid that to ever happen, but you have to make sure that everything is safe regardless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the biggest things I'm seeing happening right now with women who are coming forward
Mm-hmm.
from narc abuse or any kind of physical abuse is the smear campaign. The
Yes.
narcissist, after they've discarded you, they will basically flip the script and they will, spread rumors and claim that you are the narcissist or
Now
that
you're
you
the
are
crazy
crazy.
girlfriend.
You're the crazy one. You're the narcissist. You're the liar. You're like, so you have to be very aware that there are people out there that may have a different perception of you because of the narc, but it's not
Yeah.
your business to care. That is too
Yes.
much energy. Don't focus on that energy. Focus on the life that you do desire and your safety and what you're trying to build, because they will continue with that for as long as you feed into it.
Exactly.
If you don't
Exactly.
respond or you like, I don't engage. I've had conversations and people will bring up an ex's name.
Yeah.
I am mute.
Good. Yeah. Very good. And exactly. Again, you're feeding the supply if you keep it going. Even just a slight response. Sometimes even just opening the message for them to see that you read it is giving them a response. As slight as that seems, it's still giving them that energy and your time. And they are like, oh, I'm one step closer. They will keep digging at you. And as much as it may be, defamation of character, whatever it may be, they will go for it. So just be mindful not to give them any of that energy. Completely cut loose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we go, if you guys have any questions, let us know.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was really just to bring awareness to narcissistic relationships, bring awareness to the things to look out for, because usually when we're in the situations, we don't see the red flags because we don't know what we're looking at. The red
Yeah.
flags may be right there, but we don't know what we're looking at. So I've had many people thank me for some of the past conversations I've done on IGTV with, you know, talking about narcissistic personality disorder, because they were able to then go and do their own homework and realize and start exiting either, you know, the toxic situation or seeking therapy or getting, you know, the help that they do need.
Yes.
And just know that you're not alone.
Not
There
alone.
are those of us out here that have had similar experiences. We do believe you. And I know that's the hardest thing when you've left a, a narc abusive relationship. Being believed, having someone understand what you've experienced and to say that they believe you, rather than, you know, that person, wow, I don't believe they would have done such a thing because I know them to be this person. So just know that we do see you, we do hear you, we do believe you.
Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. I remember just, you know, finally having a voice in my own situation and coming to, and I remember almost over explaining myself. Even if they hadn't asked anything, I'd be like, well, it really did happen. Yeah, it really, really did. Do you believe me? You know, and I remember just thinking like, they're not going to believe me. I've got to over explain. Now I've got to, maybe I'll show the screenshots. I don't know. What do I got to do? And just knowing that there's safe places and people that have been through it and do believe you. And honestly, just from some of the basic things that you say to someone, they can already tell that you're being honest, because those experiences are so widespread. Like there are definite categories that narcissism falls under. And once you start explaining some of your stories, it's clear as day that you were in an, you know, a narc relationship, to be honest. So don't overthink it. Say your piece and, you know, seek help if needed too, because it's all within. You can grow from it.
And I guess another thing that I want to say in terms of people who are being open about their truth of a narcissistic relationship, to anyone who is listening to someone who is sharing their truth about an abusive relationship, that is their truth. That is their perspective of the story. That is their recollection of what happened.
Yeah.
You know, there's the saying that there's, you know, 3 sides to a story. No, when you've been with a narc, there's like 42 sides to a story, because they're out there telling 41.
It's complex.
And then you've got yours, right? So don't devalue someone else's truth. They've already been in a relationship with someone that's already made them feel like their reality isn't real. Don't cause further damage by discrediting what's happened to them.
And you know, in our community, talking about our community again, you know, you sure, Suzanne? You sure that really happened? You sure it's not crazy? You're crazy. Like, that's the first thing that you'll hear. And it's like, no, honestly, yeah, it really did. Are you sure he didn't look like the type? You know,
oh, you guys looked so good together. What do you like?
How come? I didn't see any bruise or anything. You never cry. I never see. You were smiling and holding hands. Okay,
you were smiling on social media.
In that picture, big grin. It's a lie, guys. It's a lie. So yeah.
You know, we can laugh because we're in the, I'm not saying we're healed. We're in the healing process, so we can laugh about our experiences. It is a serious matter, but honestly, you don't have a choice sometimes but to laugh, because it's like
healing.
Right?
But it's crazy, because when you've been in that much of a whirlwind of relationship or relationships, could be parents, whomever, it's like you realize how much of a difference you are when you come out, and how did I get there? And then you start sharing stories and it's like, I did the exact same thing. It's so exact. It's so precise. Like, I could tell you I left to the store and this happened, and you'll tell me you left to the store and this happened. It's the exact same story. So it's so weird, you know, when you're talking to people.
Yeah. Our stories, our stories connect us.
Yeah.
And this is a huge thing of, you know, what I talk about on my podcast. Like, we get into deep conversations, but it's our stories that connect us. We may not have had the exact same experience as somebody, but we can completely relate to their story. And when we're talking about narcissistic relationships, in terms of exact, it's pretty darn close.
Pretty close. Yeah. You know, and you can almost diagnose. So they say, don't, you know, if you're not a doctor or anything, certified, don't diagnosed, but honestly, this is one of those situations that NPD, like you can totally diagnose it. Like it's so precise. Like it's in your face when you actually know.
I read that with narcissistic personality disorder,
Yeah,
doctors can't actually diagnose them because they will never go to it to admit that they have an issue.
it's
If
very
they
hard.
go to therapy, it is to prove that you are wrong, or it is
Very
performative
hard.
to say.
And then the therapist is wrong if they dare to agree with you. So it is very hard to get them in that situation. And technically, it can't be, I guess, with medicine, it can't be dosed. Really, the most that can be taken care of is the depression, from what I understand, that comes along with it. But it's one of those things, and I've read so many articles, the only way to heal a narcissist is to leave them to die on their own. And it's such a sad reality, but that's literally what I've heard across the board. There's no cure. So, you know.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you help a narcissist? They don't change. Psychologists and therapists are like, these people do not change. You need to focus on your healing and keep it moving, because they will suck you dry until you're dead.
Till the day you die. Yeah. And that could be in their hands. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pureness,
this was heavy,
thank you for sharing your experiences and your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying, thank you, and it was an amazing conversation, and thank you for sharing our truth. But honestly, these conversations need to happen to bring awareness, because there are people that are in toxic relationships or have seen their parents in a toxic relationship and not realize that it's a narcissistic relationship.
Exactly. And just keep your eyes open, keep your mind open. Don't judge yourself through it, but just understand that you could be in a situation, if the red flags are really there, just keep your eyes open. So yeah.
All right, guys, have a good night. If you have any questions, slide into our DMs.
Or me, me, whatever. Thank you again for having me on.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye, guys.